Snicker of Magic, Chapter 26. Maybe you should let me drive, Cleo, Day Grissom said to my aunt as she swerved the jalapeno out onto the main road. We were all packed in tight, Cleo, Day, Franny, Boone, Jonah, Toast, and me. It was Jonah's idea to bring the musicians along with us, just in case Mama had left before the curse was broken. Mama left. She really left. What if she's gone? I asked as Cleo came to a screeching halt at Midnight Gulch's only stoplight. We'll find her, Cleo said, clutching the steering wheel. I don't have my suitcase, Franny rubbed her eyes. I forgot to bring it. You won't need it, Cleo said, but she wouldn't look back at us. Day Grissom said, Cleo, let me drive. Day, Cleo hollered, how long does this infernal red light last? I'm going to be car sick, Toast groaned. Jonah raised his hand. We might need le barf bucket. Why are you raising your hand? I asked. We're not in class. Boone popped open the way-back window with his elbow so Toast could get some fresh air. Holly walked, so she can't be too far off, right, Cleo? Trade seats with me, Day said. I get nervous when you drive. Everybody hush, Cleo scolded. Especially you, Day Grissom. If you don't like my driving, you can walk. There, Franny yelled as the jalapeno squealed its way onto Main Street. Mama was painting the gallery. That's what I figured, Cleo said. The jalapeno bumped up on the sidewalk near Abigail Honeycutt's bench. Cleo pushed her door open at the same time Day Grissom reached down to shift the gear into park, because Aunt Cleo had forgotten, as usual. Let me go see her first, I said. I'll make sure everything's okay. I scampered across the street, yelling her name. Mama! When she spun around, I noticed three things. First, I noticed she'd been crying. Her eyes looked red and glassy. Long, inky rivers of mascara rolled down her face, but she looked pretty that way. She looked painted that way. Second, I noticed she was holding one of her old paintbrushes. She'd been doing detail work. And third, even through her tears, I noticed she was smiling. I flew at her. I latched my arms tight around her waist, and she wrapped her arms around my shoulders. Did you see the shadows? My throat burned the way it always does when I'm trying not to cry. Did you hear the music at the end? The chords aligned, and the curse is over. Did you? Shh, Mama cooed against my hair. I don't know what shadows you're talking about. I was about to holler across the street to Boone and Toast and tell them to fire up the music, but then Mama tilted my face up so I was looking at her, so she was looking right into my eyes. She said, I heard you. As soon as I heard you start talking, I figured out how to fix the gallery. I figured out how to fix lots of things. Let me finish this, Felicity, and then... And then? I whispered. And then we'll talk, she promised, but first I need to fix this, alone. I'll keep you company, Cleo said, shuffling up the sidewalk. Day and Boone said they'd take the kids for ice cream. I'll stay here with you. Mama finally let go of me and turned back to the gallery. I'll be here a while. Cleo nodded. That's fine. I got my soap opera set to record. Go on, Felicity. I'll come get y'all when she's ready to unveil the masterpiece. I was just about to argue when I caught the flicker of a yellow ribbon out of the corner of my eye. I glanced across the road to Abigail Honeycutt's bench. Florentine. I must have looked half crazy as I ran across the street because Florentine raised one eyebrow. I don't know what's got into you. She nodded across the street. Don't know what's got into your mama either. But I can see already that your mother ain't talented. She is gifted. There's a difference, you see. By the time she's done, that wall's going to be something special. Don't I know it, I said. And speaking of special things, I took the locket off my neck. I could hear it chiming even as I closed my hand around it. Jewel Pickett told me about your people. Did you know we had some history in common? Yeah, I figured it out, Florentine nodded. I figure everybody's got history in common if you go back far enough. A curse ain't such a great thing to have in common, though, so I didn't bring it up. We're not cursed anymore, I said. Jewel told us Isabella took something that didn't belong to her and left a perfect memory in its place. She says that's what you came here looking for. I don't think you have to look any further. I think this is Isabella Thistle's perfect memory. I'd never seen Florentine's eyes shine like they did when I dropped that cold locket into her hand. Florentine locked her fingers around it, and I locked my hand around her hand. The locket made her finger bones cold. The story is too long to tell right now, I said quickly, but the music made it open. How about that? Florentine's voice crackled. When you open that locket, you'll see something spindiddly. Florentine lifted her fingers one at a time and stared down at her reflection in the locket. I figured she'd want to be alone when she saw Isabella's memory for the first time, so I stood and began to make my way back towards the jalapeno. My chest felt funny without the locket pressed against it. It was just a pendant, just a tacky little snicker of magic that weighed next to nothing. But it was strange not carrying it. That reminded me. Florentine, I turned and said, why don't you let me get rid of those burdens for you, if you're ready to put them down, I mean. At first I thought Florentine might just keep the burdens with her. She'd been packing them around for so long, I knew it'd be hard to let them go. But then, very slowly, she shrugged off the strap around her shoulder and nodded to me. When I reached for the bag, her bony fingers clutched my wrist. Let me take them, I whispered. Enjoy your perfect memory. The pickled jalapeno was full of happy chatter as Day drove us towards the Dreamery Creamery. He turned on the radio and turned up the volume of a Bob Dylan song about a tambourine man. Boone and Toast both sang along and plucked their instruments. Franny Joe dozed against my side. On my other side sat Jonah, nervously wringing his hands. Go ahead, he whispered. Open the bag. What if I set those burdens loose in the van? I whispered back. That's worse than spiders. Who knows what kind of magic she's got packed up in here? Jonah shrugged. Only one way to find out. I pulled back the flap and held the bag as far away from me as I could. Slowly I reached down inside. It's probably going to bite my hand off. Is it magic you feel? Jonah asked. No, I said. I pushed the bag open wide to make sure I wasn't imagining things. It's just old jars. 2 old jars to be exact, jars as dark as midnight on the inside. I handed one to Jonah. I wiped the dust off the other one and tried to open it, but the lid wouldn't budge. I held it so close to my face that my eyelashes fluttered against the glass, but all I could see was murky, dusty nothing. Nothing rattling around in it, Jonah said. He held the jar up to his ear. No sound of any kind. I turned the jar around, carefully examining it. That's when I noticed a yellow note taped and retaped to the front of the jar. The words on the paper were scrawled so small and so fine that I had to lean in close again to read them. This jar's got a riddle on it, Jonah. Mine does too, Jonah said. And look, it's the same as yours. I snuck and took to do some good, to make a way for peace to find. Its silent, shadowed, simple way back to the place it left behind. Oh, restless dreamer, don't despair. There is still magic in the air. Felicity, Jonah whispered. Look who wrote the riddle. My heart fluttered hummingbird fast when I saw the handwriting underneath. I, Thistle. September 15, 1910.